Hi everyone, welcome to this video. This is a continuation of something I started a long time ago. If you've been following my channel for quite a while, you'll know that once in a while I like to come in here and talk to you guys about some books that I've been reading, that I have in my hands. And it's kind of like a library update, a book update. You know, I love to read, but I guess interest in reading changes from time to time. For the past while, I've been reading a lot of grown-up picture books, non-fiction books, less about novels and things like that. But I think these are really fun books to read, and a lot of times they're reference books, very informational. I tend to read a lot of books about art and history and culture and makeup, of course. If there's a new makeup book, I'm usually right in there looking for it. But going to the library is something I really enjoy, especially if you follow me on Instagram. You'll know I Instagram and tweet about books once in a while and show you guys pictures of things I've been reading. But going to library is a great chance for you to scavenge new things that have come out on the market. Whenever I see a new publication come out, I'll usually bookmark it over on Amazon or something, but I will go to the library first, see if they've got it, and really have a good look through it, and see if it's something I want to put down my money for and keep it permanently to buy. So hopefully this video will give you guys some ideas on books you may or may not have seen or you've been curious about. So in no particular order, let's get started. First book. Sewing. You guys know I've been on this wardrobe architect challenge. By the way, that is a hashtag. I believe it's hashtag WA Challenge 2015. If you want to see exactly what's going on over there, pretty much it's a year-long wardrobe defining, restyling moment project that spans 12 months. There's a lot of sewing involved. You kind of get to know the community of people who are crafters and sewers, and join me if you're interested as we go through this 12-month project. But that's a whole different story, and there is a video on that, by the way. I'll link it down below if it sounds a little bit confusing, but just understand that it's like a sewing project long term. So because of that, I was looking through the sewing section, and this is something that I found. This is called Stylish Dress Book, Simple Smocks, Dresses, and Tops. So this is actually a Japanese style sewing book, originally in Japanese, currently translated into English. And there's a couple of those on the market right now. I was actually really inspired after seeing this book, and I actually went onto Amazon and bought two different ones, not this particular one for myself. So this book really contains a lot of sewing patterns. A lot of them are very simple, casual, loose fitting, shall we say, very easy to wear. So we'll give you pictures of the particular styles and designs up in the front, and then they will show you exactly the instructions and how to make it. And way out in the back there is a collection of patterns that you can use, trace out onto your own paper, so you can return the library book and use them for your own sewing projects. Now these are laid out a little bit differently than a lot of the Western style sewing books and sewing patterns you may be familiar with. They are still relatively easy to read, even if they're not translated into Japanese. I have a few of the original Japanese ones. Yeah, not translated into English, but the original Japanese is still very easy to follow along if you have a little bit of sewing experience. If you don't, the English versions are probably a bit better for you, but I really enjoy these ones because the style and aesthetic is very different than a lot of the ones we have over here. So that's this book, and if you do want to hear more about sewing and things like that, drop me a comment down below, and we can expand that category a little bit more. And moving on to a more Western style book, this one is from Gertie, and this is Gertie Sews Vintage Casual. This is Gretchen, by the way. She goes by Gertie as well. And this is a modern guide to sportswear styles of the 1940s and 1950s. Now, sportswear way back then is not really the spandex and tricot we know of today. This was really, I guess, a different style of sportswear. She has a first book out, which is much more of a dressier, more, I guess, tailor type of look, vintage sewing, and this is a more casual version. So this is probably our version of casual and their version of sportswear back in the 40s and the 50s. So I love how her book teaches you a lot of sewing techniques that you may encounter if you're a fan of vintage patterns, or you love sewing vintage clothes, or you're just curious to learn how things have changed throughout the decades. Of course, she has modernizations of vintage-inspired projects, and she includes patterns out in the back as well for your reference, and you can use them as well. So she'll show you little details, especially vintage techniques, which may or may not be highlighted in current pattern making instructions. So it's a pretty accessible book as well. It's a nice big one that's also spiral bound, which makes it easy to flip through, and I like to keep it around for reference, and I will probably buy either one or the other, the first book or the second book. I do enjoy them both. It's just a matter of seeing which one is more applicable to my current style and what I'm sewing. Now, the next thing in here is this book, which is part of a series. This one is about weddings, but the series is called Style Me Vintage. And the wedding version in particular, of course, talks about weddings. I love that they use these historical photographs and mirror them next to the modern reinterpretations of these decade and period styles. Of course, they talk about dresses and hair and makeup, but also a lot of accessories, and the photographs are beautifully done, the makeup especially. So I love just looking through this as a fun, quick read. Even if you're not getting married, they have little details like an Art Deco cake, which just makes it, I don't know, a little something different to read around the house. So this one is called Style Me Vintage, the wedding edition. There's also one called Style Me Vintage Hair and Style Me Vintage Makeup, I believe, if you're interested in those two categories specifically. Next then we have this one for the makeup lover who may also be a history buff. This is called Read My Lips, A Cultural History of Lipstick. I am a lipstick girl through and through, and lipstick is something that's very fascinating, especially to I guess the female group, and also I guess to society and kind of culture as a whole, how lipstick came to really define a lot of things. And this talks about the history of lipstick, not just through kind of the modern era, but also way back. Even in ancient times they talk about lipstick, and I love how they pull out all these ads about lipstick, Vogue covers, or even advertisements from back in the day, maybe like Revlon ads. I think I saw like an Elizabeth Arden ad, and it'll talk about exactly what is actually in lipstick, what made lipstick so popular, when was it popular, how it became so hot, and a hot selling commodity, what it really represented for women in the past and today. And I love I found one right here. This is Lucy, I think Lucy Ball. She's advertising for a Max Factor lipstick right here. So a lot of fun visuals, as well as some historical text in here as well, and a pretty decently sized book too, so you get a good read out of this one. Then moving on, this is something that will be good as a coffee table book. It is the Pantone on Fashion, A Century of Color in Design. So big, bright, beautiful photos. If you don't know Pantone, they are the color experts. They do color forecasting, they categorize colors, they give them wonderful names, right? So if you're into fashion or color or just art overall, I think this is a nice coffee table book. And I love how they arranged it. So obviously they arranged it by colors, but they arranged it in very specific colors, so you're not just getting pink, but you're getting shocking pink. Or the next page you might get poppy red, or the page before is heavenly pink. So all these are very specific, and along with the imagery, which I love, they also give you a historical breakdown of the color itself, where it came from, when it became popular, and also referencing a lot of the famous iconography even, or the famous images using these particular colors and highlighting them. So this is a fun one to read. Quick 5 minutes, flip to any page and learn a little bit of something. So this one, Pantone on Fashion, is one I've really enjoyed lately. Now the last book to share with you is definitely for those super arts geeks out there. The book is called This is Dali. If you don't recognize this man, his name is Salvador Dalí, and he's a Spanish surrealist artist in many kind of versions. So he does painting, of course. He also does some like short film work. He also has done like sculptures and multimedia, things like that. He was a very particular man, a peculiar man as well, and he loved to fashion himself, to be different, right? The iconic mustache, upward turned mustache, probably took a lot of beard wax from there. But I love this book, which is a biography of his life, but it's mirrored with these awesome and wonderful illustrations, caricatures of him, and I think this really cohesively works together to kind of show his life. And I think he would have been kind of proud of a book like this, because he was that type of quirky guy to begin with. So it really talks about his life and the development of his artistic style, his personal life, of course, his artistic life, and shows the different artworks which were popular and represented representative or represented, I guess, some of his most iconic works. This one is probably what you'll know him best from. This is called The Persistence of Memory from 1931, otherwise known as The Melting Clocks. It's in a lot of modern you know, prints and, you know, everything from umbrellas to book covers and, you know, bags and things like that. So caricatures, the cartoons are absolutely wonderful, and I think this is a pretty interesting book. Hardcover, by the way, as well, to give or to keep, or, you know, I'm actually thinking about buying this just to keep it around. I think it's a fun read and probably one I'll go over, you know, more than once. So this wraps up my kind of little reading log of what I have been reading. So I hope that you will share with me anything good that you have been reading as well. Leave it below for me as a comment. If you're interested in any of these books I've just mentioned, I will put a link to every single one of them down below in the information bar below this video. So click on that and find all the details that you need. So until next time, let me know if you enjoy these types of videos, and I will speak to you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.